Well, for more analysis on China's latest trade figures, we're joined by Professor Yan Liang of Willamette University. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me again, Rachelle.
So let's break some of this down, starting with China's services sector, which expanded at its fastest pace in 5 months in April, according to the Taishin China General Services Business Activity Index. What do you attribute that to?
Well, first of all, we know that in the first half of this year, there were many holidays, from the tomb sweeping holidays to the Just Golden Week in May. So that really boosted service because a lot of people are traveling. 230 million travelers actually were taking the trips, and they are spending over $17 billion in the holiday season. So that definitely helped to boost the service sector and also the entertainment sector, movie sales and catering in the restaurants, etc. So that is a great momentum to continue on when the consumers are starting to get confident again and go out and spend again.
And we certainly also saw that imports and exports also up in China. Which sectors showed the most progress and which ones are still lagging behind?
So the increase in exports mostly are in electronics and also some of the high-tech products. So these are continue to grow, but there are also some concerns about China's manufacturing because of some, semiconductor shortages and also logistic disruptions. So that is something that we need to continue to watch closely. The employment sub-indexes as well have dipped deeper into the negative territory. So that is another, I think, concerning sign. So I think there's still quite a bit of mixed signals of the economy, but definitely the export growth and also consumer spending are the biggest boost.
Now, let's also take a look at China's foreign exchange reserves, which are the world's largest. They also increased in April from March. What does this strengthening of the yuan against the dollar mean for the global economy?
Right. So as we saw the number in April, China's imports have grew also by 43%. So part of the reason for that very strong import growth has to do with China's strong consumer demand, but also the yuan appreciation. So the RMB has appreciated since May last year. So that is a welcome sign for the rest of the world, because as China's currency gets stronger, China's imports would also increase. So I think that would be very helpful for the rest of the world that has a demand from China.
And of course, when we talk about China and trade, we can't help but talk about the U.S. We know that the trade issues do still exist with the U.S., but we did still see that Chinese imports from there are still up. What should we read into this?
Right, so that clearly shows that with all the trade restrictions and also the tariffs, it doesn't necessarily mean this is going to reduce China's surplus with the U.S. And what that means is, again, has nothing to do with China's unfairness in terms of its trade practices. It has a lot more to do with, the U.S. own economic structure and demand. So I think all the tariffs are adding unnecessary costs on U.S. consumers. And it also goes on to show that both countries are so integrated, are so connected in their economic activities. So I think it would be really helpful for the United States to review their trade sanctions and tariffs and to really resume the normal trade relationships, which will be beneficial for both economies.
So then as we take a look at the overall health of the Chinese economy, especially given the latest data and the trade picture as well, as obviously countries continue to manage their pandemic fallout, how would you assess the health of the Chinese economy?
Right. So as I mentioned before, I think the consumer spending is up. That is beneficial for the economy. Export growth continue to be strong, as the U.S. demand now start to really recover, and production has been disrupted in some countries like India. So that really helped China to increase its export growth. Within the country, I think the supply side bottleneck could be a constraint because of the semiconductor shortages and also some of the logistic disruptions. And also, as China continue to address climate change and have policy address some of the heavy polluting sort of industries, and also when it comes to energies. So I think there are some negative factors that might push China back. But still, I think with the demand and technological improvements, China will be able to forge ahead.